have a special segment called Party Politics. This is where we bring in people of different ideological backgrounds to see how their answers to pressing political topics compare. Today we have Alexander Richmond, president of UMich College Republicans, and Allie Doroshewitz, co-president of UMich College Democrats. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
The first question today is going to be, there has been a rise and a push for younger politicians, especially in the Democratic Party, with races such as Mamdani for mayor in New York City. Do you agree with this push? Why or why not? Allie, you can start.
Yes, I 100% agree with this push. I think Mamdani's race in New York, as well as races like Virginia with Abigail Spanberger and New Jersey with Mikey Sherrill, show us that voters are really yearning for more representation and younger representation. And that's why organizations exist. We exist to engage young people in the process and hopefully train them up to be the next leaders.
Awesome. Alex?
Yeah, I agree as well. I believe that younger voters are crucial, and they've been vastly underrepresented by our current Congress and our governors as well. And all it matters is the way that we perceive our leaders and the way that we can bring out low propensity voters, which is traditionally young people, especially within the Republican Party. And it's an untapped group of voters which we should listen to, we should be receptive to. And if we have people who are willing to enact change for the better, and they are younger people, they're willing to give that bright light and spotlight to economic opportunity for younger people, we should always welcome them with open arms.
Awesome, look at that. We already found some common ground. The next question is, what do you think is the most prominent topic for your party at the moment and why? Yeah. Alex, you can start.
Of course. I believe currently healthcare is the fundamental, and I'm sure we agree to a large extent on this, it's just the implementation, is under the current ACA provisions where you have the extensions of the cap has been removed for millions of people under emergency procedures where you had 400% of the poverty level was the cap of which people would receive these ACA credits, and now there's no cap currently, which the way that we actually have to resolve it is not something that's addressed in Medicare and the ACA, which is the actual pharmaceutical costs, which is the way that we negotiate drug prices. And currently we have a lack of a free market through corporate capture that needs to be abolished, and we have to acknowledge that the fundamental guiding principle of the economy in Republican politics and conservatism is free markets. And you cannot have free markets when corporate capture and all of these systems are in place through special interest groups in order to bear the rebates of these negotiated profits for their own benefit. And they raise the interest rates overwhelmingly at the cost of average working people, when in reality we have to face these growing prices. The fact that it costs more than any other country in the world when it comes to R&D research, the red tape that we put on our research and development when it comes to over 12 to 20 years of a monopolized healthcare system, and then you have secondary patents that are instituted in order to maintain that privatized capture of pharmaceutical drugs to make it completely unaffordable for Americans.
Awesome. Allie, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I do agree healthcare is a major issue. I do think that it plays into the larger issue of cost of living, right? I think everyone can acknowledge right now that prices are really high, and it's really hard to afford your daily life, right? I work in retail, or I have a job in retail, and I've firsthand seen how the current tariffs have caused prices to go up. Anyone who's in college can tell you that it's really hard to afford a house. It's really hard to pay your tuition. It's hard, and anyone who's living can tell you it's really hard to buy groceries right now. So I think that's one of the biggest issues for people. And there are a lot of ways to address that, right? For one, like talked about lowering, we don't need to lower healthcare costs. Healthcare is too expensive. Different ways to do it, but as you mentioned with the ACA subsidies, people's prices are going to go up. We also need to improve access to housing, improve access to opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you.
On to the last question. With more and more people being unhappy with our current two-party system, do you guys think that it's time for a change? And if so, what does that look like? Allie, you can start.
Okay. I mean, I think it's, no secret that both of the parties are historically unpopular, right? And just speaking from Democratic Party perspective, I think the biggest issue voters have is that they don't believe that the party is fighting with them. And I think that's a failure. I think that can be a failure on both the party's part and also just like the system that we're in. Relating to your first question, that's why we see the need for new leadership, younger leadership, as well as the leadership, as well as just changes in the current political system we're working in, right? Big example I can think of, Citizens United and the Supreme Court case. Many people don't feel like they have a voice in politics. They feel like it's all left up to the corporations, corporate PACs, big dollar donors, and so yeah.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
I believe that Trump's election was not, a surprise. I think that populism in the Republican Party and the message that we gave for many years regarding America First, for saying that we are going to prioritize working class people, people who have been underrepresented, people who have been unheard. And we actually have to live by those promises. We have to bring peace and prosperity to the rest of the world and prosperity to our people before we get involved in foreign entanglements abroad. And that is something that we have had mixed reception from, at least optics-wise, when it comes to the Republicans who are currently in power. And we have to go back and reflect on what is the needs of younger people, what is the needs of the broader electorate. That is a winning message. We know what the winning message is. We just have to implement those policies. We have to bring affordability to our housing market, our healthcare costs. We have to cut down on these zoning restrictions, these healthcare restrictions, and help facilitate these negotiations of drug costs and pharmaceuticals without all of the corporate capture that is overwhelming our systems, and the special interest groups such as Citizens United to lower the influence of big money in our politics and to actually do anything possible to make sure that we are receptive to our voters and that we reward our base for actually voting for us and prioritize the well-being of everyone, especially young people.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for having this conversation with me. Hopefully we can have you guys back for another segment in the future.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode of Maizewire. I'm Sarah Youssef, and as always, follow us on Instagram at WolfTVUmish for more. Thanks for tuning in.